Welcome to this explainer. Today, we are going to completely shatter that oversimplified myth of the baby bump that we're all so used to seeing in movies and everyday life. We're diving into the awe-inspiring reality of pregnancy. And let me tell you, it is so much more than just a time of carrying a child. We're talking about a complete, total systemic overhaul of the female body. So let's jump right into this.
Just take a look at this quote. It really hits the nail on the head and perfectly captures what we're exploring today. The female body is acting as an absolute masterwork of engineering. It is actively tearing its normal operations down to build a completely new temporary life support system. It's a total transformation involving practically every organ, tissue, muscle, and bone in the body.
We're kicking things off with the invisible biological revolution. To truly grasp what's happening here, we actually have to start way down at the microscopic level, looking at the changes that happen long before anyone on the outside notices a physical bump.
It all starts with a hormonal blueprint. Within literally days of conception, specific hormones like estrogen, progesterone, HCG, prolactin, and relaxin just absolutely skyrocket. I mean, the body has never experienced anything quite like this before. These hormones instantly get to work altering the biological environment of the entire body. We are talking major changes to the brain, the heart, blood vessels, skin, digestion, and even sleep patterns. The body basically starts operating under a completely new set of chemical rules.
But here's the real kicker. This isn't just a physical process happening below the neck. The maternal brain is physically adapting too. Research actually shows that areas of the brain responsible for empathy, emotional processing, protective instincts, and bonding become significantly more active. The central headquarters is literally rewiring itself for caregiving. At the same time, because the body is reallocating so many resources, women often experience noticeable shifts in memory and concentration, along with a much sharper awareness of potential dangers in their environment.
Moving on to the cardiovascular engine. Let's see how those invisible blueprints we just talked about translate into the massive physiological shifts needed to power this brand new life support system.
Take a look at this number, 50%. That is wild. This is one of the least visible but absolutely most staggering changes in the human body. By late pregnancy, specifically the third trimester, a woman's blood volume and her heart's output can shoot up by a staggering 50%. Half again as much blood is suddenly pumping through her veins. Just imagine your own heart suddenly having to pump 50% more blood all day, every day. It's incredible.
So, why is that massive increase so vital? Well, the heart has to work overtime, beating faster every single day, just to circulate that extra volume and pull off 4 crucial biological tasks. It has to supply oxygen to the baby, deliver essential nutrients, support the massive metabolic demands of the placenta, and, crucially, prepare the mother's body for blood loss during childbirth.
Now, when you pump up blood volume that much, the rest of the internal plumbing has to compensate. As the uterus expands upward, it effectively crushes right up against the diaphragm, and that drastically reduces the space left for the lungs. To make up for this, a woman's breathing becomes deeper, and her body becomes incredibly efficient at exchanging oxygen, though, understandably, it leaves many women feeling constantly short of breath. Meanwhile, the kidneys have to kick things into high gear, vastly increasing their filtration rate. They are literally processing waste for 2 now, leading to a massive increase in fluid processing, which explains the infamous non-stop need to urinate.
That brings us to the shifting architecture and digestion. Let's look at how the body's load-bearing structures and internal piping are forced to adapt to this new reality. Let's talk about the digestive slowdown for a second. Remember those high-level hormones from our blueprint slide? Well, they purposefully relax smooth muscles all over the body to protect the fetus and prevent premature contractions. But guess what? Your digestive tract is made entirely of smooth muscle. So this drastically slows down the digestion process. When you combine that with the growing uterus putting immense physical pressure on the stomach and intestines, you end up with a cascade of intensely uncomfortable physical symptoms like nausea, heartburn, acid reflux, constipation, and bloating. It is basically a perfect storm for digestive distress.
And that brings us to a very specific, fascinating hormone, relaxin. This is a crucial biological tool. Its main job is to soften up ligaments and connective tissue so the pelvis can become flexible enough for childbirth. But relaxin doesn't just stay in the pelvis, it goes everywhere. By softening the body's connective tissue system-wide, it heavily affects the hips, knees, ankles, and lower back. This leads to a profound sense of instability, changes in posture, and some pretty intense joint discomfort.
All of these load-bearing shifts take an immense physical toll on the mother's structural framework. I mean, the body literally has to shift its entire center of gravity as the abdomen grows forward. The lower back curves deeply and the shoulders move backward just to maintain balance, which obviously causes severe back pain and muscle strain. The abdominal muscles stretch so incredibly thin that they often separate down the middle, a condition called diastasis recti. And because of the weight gain and that hormone relaxin we just talked about, the arches of the feet can completely flatten out, causing feet to widen and shoe sizes to permanently increase.
Let's pivot to the extraordinary uterus and the exterior upgrades. We're going to examine the most visually dramatic changes to the central incubator itself, as well as the outside of the body. This comparison brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of the transformation. Just look at this before and after. Before pregnancy, the uterus weighs about 60 to 80 grams. It's roughly the size of a small pear. By the end of pregnancy, it weighs roughly 1,000 grams. It has increased its volume hundreds of times over to house a full-term baby, the placenta, and the amniotic fluid. This is a feat of rapid growth and adaptation that is unmatched by almost any other organ in the entire human body.
And while the uterus is transforming inside, the exterior is undergoing rapid upgrades too. Early on, breasts enlarge, expanding milk ducts and blood flow to prepare for feeding, and they even start producing nutrient-rich colostrum before birth. The skin stretches rapidly, which often causes stretch marks, and hormones trigger noticeable pigmentation changes, things like melasma on the face or that dark line down the abdomen known as the linea nigra. Interestingly, those sky-high hormone levels also keep hair in a prolonged growth phase, making it luxuriously thick. But a heads up, this means a sudden dramatic shedding phase when those hormones finally drop off after birth.
Behind the scenes, there is a seriously delicate balancing act happening with the immune system and sleep. The immune system is walking a tightrope. It has to protect the mother from infection, but it also has to carefully dial itself back so it doesn't reject the developing fetus. Meanwhile, when you combine everything we've discussed, the physical discomfort, the constant need to urinate, temperature spikes, and anxiety, getting a quality night of sleep becomes nearly impossible as the pregnancy progresses.
Finally, we've reached the climax of this entire systemic overhaul, the ultimate physical challenge.
Let's be real. Childbirth isn't just a painful event. It represents literally one of the most demanding physical challenges a human body can ever survive. It requires this intense, perfectly timed, simultaneous coordination of every major system you see here. The uterus has to generate incredibly powerful contractions. The pelvic structures have to yield and adapt on the fly, and the cardiovascular and nervous systems are pushed to their absolute limits to safely move a baby through the birth canal.
But here's the thing, the delivery, that's not the end of the story. Once the baby is out, the body gets thrown immediately into yet another massive phase of active biological adaptation. Over the coming weeks and months, hormones crash and recalibrate, the uterus violently shrinks back down to size, that massive 50% extra blood volume decreases, the breasts shift into active milk production, and the metabolism has to completely adjust. Recovery is a massive, ongoing biological event all on its own.
The absolutely crucial takeaway here is that while some systems do eventually revert, this incredible journey leaves a lasting architectural imprint. Every woman is different, for sure, but pregnancy often leaves permanent marks. Wider hips, surgical scars from cesarean deliveries, altered pelvic floors, skin pigmentation changes, and permanently changed abdominal muscles. The body has been fundamentally, forever altered by the immense work it has done.
Understanding this total biological transformation, from the rewiring of the brain and the doubling of blood pumping through the heart, all the way to the shifting of the skeleton, should really change how we see the incredible capabilities of the mothers around us. And it leaves us with a truly profound thought to ponder. If the human body can completely reorganize itself from the inside out to create and sustain new life, what else is it truly capable of? Thanks for joining me for this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.